Robyn had to go to work. She worked at a hospital down there. She had to go to work pretty early in the morning. So I'd wake up and I'd get the kids up and I'd get the kids ready. Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna, I'd wake them up and I'd get them ready for school. I'd pack their lunches and their breakfast. And then I'd walk them to the bus stop. And then I basically just clean the house. I do homework. I was still in school. I was just doing online school.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. It's Friday, April 28th, 2023. Every once in a while, the sister wives share something or one of their kids shares something that literally puts my mouth on the ground. And last night was one of those times that my mouth was on the ground, and this was because of something that Mckelty revealed. Now, one of the times that my mouth was on the ground with Mckelty was when she was talking about the poverty that they lived in and how they didn't even have food to eat, okay? Well, this is something that they have not shared on the show, and I was shocked, and it takes a lot to shock me, and I guess I'm surprised because I would have thought that it wouldn't have been this way, and the way that it was represented on the show is not what happened. And Mykelti was like stumbling over her words as she was explaining this, which felt to me like she was like trying to tell the truth, but maybe was like, I don't know if she realized that she was revealing something that hadn't been revealed before. But remember how this season, Mckelty gave birth, and Christine said that Mckelty lived with Robyn for a period of time. And we were all like, when was that? Right? We don't remember that. We don't remember Mckelty living with Robyn. They made it seem like when Robyn had moved up to Salt Lake City, that Mckelty was like struggling, and that Robyn had needed help after she had moved. And so Mckelty had made the agreement that she would move in with Robyn. And a lot of us were confused because we were like, wouldn't we have seen that on the show if they would have lived together while it was filming? Well, now this is like disturbing to me because Kody Brown and Christine Brown made the decision to send their 12-year-old daughter to live 4.5 hours away with Kody's concubine girlfriend in St. George so his girlfriend could go to work and had a babysitter, and Mckelty was pulled out of school. And I was like, what is this? She claims she was doing her schooling online, and while online schooling in 2009 was likely in its infancy, it was definitely not what it is today. And I don't know if she was actually in school, but the way that she described her day, I don't know how she would have had time to go to school. Now, I've heard some ridiculous stories of neglect in polygamy. I've heard about kids having to raise themselves. I've heard about kids being left. I've heard about kids not having enough food, how parents basically being left, like leaving their kids all day long, moms not interacting with their kids because they're so depressed and sad all the time. And I've heard about the accidents that happen. I've heard about the fires and the children that accidentally pass away. I've heard about all of that. But the trafficking in this case is so obvious to me. And I'm saying this in a way that like she's working for Robyn and she's not getting paid, and she's living at Robyn's house and basically doing Robyn's child rearing when she's 12. Let's dive into this topic. Before we do, can you please do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you've not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Make sure to click on the bell so you know when I go live and new content loads. If you have a comment, please say something and share this video with your friends. So Mckelty revealed in a video, which I'll show to you in a second. Well, actually, this is what she revealed.
So I would do homework and stuff, clean the house up a bit while they were at school. And then when it was time for them to come home, I'd go walk to the bus stop and I would pick them up from the bus stop. Then I would make them a snack, help them start getting their homework ready and stuff. But and then when Robyn would come home, we'd all kind of just hang out, we'd play games, or we'd watch movies. I played with Barbies for the first time in my life. Growing up, we weren't allowed to have Barbies just because my parents didn't love the symbolism of the Barbie, just because of the way it looks versus a real human body kind of thing. There's probably more to it too than that, but anyway. So I got to play with Barbies for the first time in my life while I was watching her kids, because her kids had a ton of Barbies, and that was actually really fun. But for the most part, we just we hung out, we'd play games, we'd go on to do adventures over the weekend. She lived right next to the Virgin River, so it's in St. George. The Virgin River goes through St. George, so she lived pretty close to one of the spots essentially. So we'd walk down from her house, her driveway, and we'd go play in the Virgin River. It was awesome, super shallow, so it was fun for the kids, and it was a lot of fun. We'd go to her parents' house. Her parents live in St. George, so we'd go to her parents' house pretty frequently as well and have dinner or play in their backyard. But it was just, it was a lot of fun. It was just hanging out, getting to know them. Every now and then Dad would come down for a couple of days to basically hang out, get to know the kids some more, get to know Robyn's folks some more and stuff. But it was really fun.
So she's going through this, and she says that she moved in with Robyn, and she would wake up and get the kids ready for school because Robyn had to go to work, and she works at a hospital and had to get up really early. Okay. Then she says she got their lunches ready, and then she walked them to school. So she would, to the bus stop. So she would walk Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. If this is before Kody and Robyn got married, it would have been 2009 because Robyn's divorce was finalized in 2008. So she and Kody dated for like a year before they got married. So it would have been 2009. They got married in 2010. She barely knew this family. She barely knew Mckelty. And Christine and Kody didn't move Mckelty into a home across the street or down the street, which is what I thought. They moved her to St. George. She moved 4.5 hours away. She wasn't in school. Mckelty says she was in school, though I don't believe that. And she's describing a day that includes a lot of work. 4.5 hours away to move in with a woman that her dad is courting. They weren't even engaged at this point, so that Robyn can go to work. So Kody was literally offering his children as help, as like nannies. Right from the beginning, Robyn was getting benefits from this family, and a child pulled out of school to go down 4.5 hours away to live and work as a 12-year-old for a family. Okay? Some of you might not think this is weird. I think this is ridiculous. I'm trying to imagine how Christine would ever believe this would have been a good idea. A 12-year-old girl. Okay, so Mckelty says she wakes up, she walks the kids to the bus stop. She says she gets their school, wakes them up, she gets them breakfast, she makes them lunch, then she walks them to the school bus. Once they go off to school, then she says she cleans, she organizes, she might do a little bit of her own school because she was going to school online. Again, 2009, online school is not what it is like today. And so what kind of education was she actually getting? Probably not that much. And it doesn't sound like she even had time, because then after she's cleaning and doing all of that, then she's picking the kids up, she's feeding them dinner, she's helping them with their homework, and she's helping put them to bed. She is raising Robyn's kids while Robyn's going to work. She's 12 years old. She's living 4.5 hours away from all of her siblings and from her mother. She is with a woman that her dad is just dating. And this happens all the time in polygamy. Kids that move, they're moved from house to house to house, and they claim that this is such a benefit, because Christine posed this as like it was great for her. I was struggling with her. She needed a little bit of extra help. And Mckelty before was very coy about this, about, it was just a couple months. And they all made it seem like, until today, that it was while they were in Lehigh. But it was when she lived in St. George, because she said, and sometimes on the weekends we would go see her parents, and every once in a while my dad would come down and spend time with the kids, get to know them better, get to know her folks better. So Robyn was exploiting this family willingly, And Kody was allowing a daughter to be exploited, and Christine was allowing a daughter to be exploited. Was Christine so overwhelmed because she was taking care of all of the other kids that to have another child just go with Robyn was just like, well, it's easier for me because it's one less kid to care for? Because remember, during the same period, she's also taking care of all of Janelle's kids, helping with their school while Janelle's working all the time. So remember how Janelle was all like, I love being a mom because Christine will get lunch together and get dinner together and she handles everything. And Christine's like on the show and she's like, I claim Savannah as my own, right? All the while, Mckelty's living down in St. George with a woman that they're not married to, is new to Kody. She's getting to know the family first and more than they've ever met her. Because if you remember during this time, Robyn didn't live with the family. She lived 4.5 hours away. She met them a couple times, went to church with them, and then they had to like communicate and see each other long distance. So the wives are just like trusting that this woman is a good person, knowing next to nothing about her, and then putting their daughter in the care of this woman. And Robyn obviously is getting benefits from this because the immediate benefit to Robyn and the message that Kody is sending to her is that you're always going to have help with the family. So in a way, it's showing to Robyn like, you sure join our family because there's always going to be someone to help care for you. It's almost like a way to love bomb her with help by having a kid move in with her. But that kid is 12 and should be in school. And what shocks me is that like Mckelty doesn't think that this is a big deal. It's just something that just happened. It was totally normal and it doesn't compute. And I just want to say something first. I have a 10-year-old son. I would never send him 4.5 hours away to live with someone who's a virtual stranger and just hope that everything works out. And then know that my child isn't getting the proper education because they're doing all the work for the woman, taking care of her kids so she can go to get work. I mean, great. So Robyn has a job that she has to work. We finally learned that she worked at a hospital at one point. But why was Christine so okay with Mckelty going 4.5 hours away? What was going on in the home that going 4.5 hours away was a better option than being with your child? They've alluded to things going on in the house. Mckelty's alluded to bullying, and she's alluded to going through things. What was she going through at home that she had to be removed from the house to go 4.5 hours away? And I know everyone says that Christine's like this amazing mom, but that doesn't scream amazing mom to me. I'm sorry. Other things that Christine has done that I don't scream amazing mom are that she knew that Mary was being very vicious to her kids, and what could she do about it? Nothing. They hid it from everyone on the show. Kody's paddling and beating the kids. Gwendolyn has admitted that the kids are getting beat. Is Christine so run down and being so hard worked and being like literally exploited herself that it's easier to let a daughter get exploited too than to deal with her? I'm really struggling to understand this. And her explanation is so bizarre. And now I understand now why they left this detail out. Because how do you think fans would respond if they learned that it wasn't when they were in Lehigh? Because when they lived in Lehigh, it was like they were a mile away. And that's how I understood it. It was like, well, she's just like a mile away. And if Christine needs to see her and check in, it's like no big deal. But if you're 4.5 hours away and something serious happens to your daughter, that's a long way. Like, what if she were to get into an accident and something like she needed emergency care? You're 4.5 hours away from your daughter at that point. And they're living with this woman that they barely know. And Kody and Robyn's getting all the benefits from this because she's like, look, I'm getting love bombed. I'm getting help. This family's proving to me they're going to help me. But it was a 12-year-old girl that had to help. It's just so disconcerting to me. The more I learn about what happened in this house, the harder it is for me to respect the wives. I understand it's a cycle and the wives don't have as much pull and as much say, but when you start hearing the stories of these kids, you know, about the abuse, about the paddling, about getting thrown in the air, about the neglect, about not having enough food, and then on the show you don't see any of that, what were they trying to sell? Christine said, we wanted to show that we were one big happy family. You're telling me you were one big happy family, but you had your 12-year-old living in a house 4.5 hours away with a woman that was a stranger? That was like your husband's concubine? No child should be forced to be taking care of other children when they're 12. No child should be pulled out of school to help other people raise their children. Robyn should have had the resources to get a nanny. If she couldn't afford a nanny, she probably would have been able to qualify for childcare through the welfare programs, the reduced price daycares. She didn't need to enlist a 12-year-old and have a 12-year-old pulled out of school to do all of her child rearing for her. What kind of mom is that? If you can't take care of your kids as a single mom and you can't take care of them and you need a 12-year-old to move in, what kind of message are you sending to that 12-year-old? No wonder Mckelty has such a screwed up relationship with Robyn. She's probably got such weird trauma bonds to this woman. And it's just so disconcerting. How much educational neglect was happening? How much forced labor was happening by these kids? What else have they not told us? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.